Ready yet? I'm talking to the students who will be taking the Grade 6 Achievement Test GSAT tomorrow and Friday. If you've been keeping on top of things, then you have no need to worry. We have some tips to get you through the examination period coming up in the program. Also, building the skills of inner city youth, plus much more. I'm Carrie Ann Smith. Jamaica Magazine begins right after this important message with Andrea Chisholm and the news of the day.
Is your silence worth the life of a child? Report child abuse. Call the Office of the Children's Registry at 1-888-PROTECT. Be the change. Speak out. Protect our children.
Good day, I'm Andrea Chisholm and this is your GIS News for Wednesday, March 19. The Jeep component of government's Major Infrastructure Development Program MIDP is ready to get rolling. The Ministry of Transport, Works and Housing, the National Works Agency, the Jamaica Emergency Employment Program and the China Harbour Engineering Company signed a $630 million contract on Tuesday. It represents the first tranche of the $50 million that will be spent as part of the Jeep component.
And it will be spent on roads, retaining walls, drains, and sidewalk.
While China Harbour is the main contractor for MIDP, small contractors will be hired to handle the Jeep component.
As we go forward into our third year of Jeep, we are looking forward to creating additional employment, especially for those who are unemployed or underemployed.
The Major Infrastructure Development Program will be executed at a total cost of $353 million. Meanwhile, the University Hospital roadway is getting a welcomed facelift courtesy of a public-private partnership. The improvement, which comes at no cost to the public purse, started in mid-February and should be completed within a week. More than a dozen private sector companies, along with the National Works Agency and Petrojam, have combined skills and other resources to carry out the $80 million project.
We have, for example, received assistance through equipment time, labor from some companies. Other companies have facilitated us in terms of the curb blocks, the oil, the bitumen that goes into the making of the asphalt was provided by Petrojam. So too some of the gas oil for the vehicles that have been used.
The project will produce an improved road surface as well as ample parking to improve operational efficiency at the University Hospital. And the National Works Agency NWA has positioned itself to quickly respond to road and related works issues in Hanover. The agency recently opened a newly constructed office at Horton Court in Lucy at a cost of $25 million. Transport Works and Housing State Minister Richard Azan says the new office should enhance customer service, adding that the process will be replicated in other parishes.
Hanover is off the list, so we can move to the others. That, like in St. Thomas, I'm very happy that we make a start, and I'm hoping that before year end, we can open another office.
In other news, the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management ODPEM says emergency personnel have made considerable progress in controlling and confining the tar fire that has been burning at the Riverton City disposal site since Sunday. A significant section of the facility that was on fire has been covered with soil to minimize the risk of further spread and to suppress residual bouts of smoke. Led by the Jamaica Fire Brigade, 24-hour operational presence is being maintained at the location, and steps are being taken to address air quality. Still, the area remains off limits for non-emergency response activities. Finance Minister Dr. Peter Phillips says micro, small and medium-sized enterprises (MSMEs) are taking advantage of the expansion opportunities being provided through the Exim Bank.
Short-term pre- and post-shipment working capital loans year-to-date disbursements by Exim close to $3 billion, and line of credit facilities for the importation of goods. Year-to-date disbursements are close to $500 million.
Dr. Phillips was addressing a recent forum hosted by the Jamaica Exporters Association. Since the start of the 2013-2014 fiscal year, MSMEs have also accessed almost 7,400 loans valued at more than $2 billion from the Development Bank of Jamaica. The National Insurance Fund will make another $1.5 billion available in the 2014-2015 financial year. And finally, Governor-General Sir Patrick Allen has accepted Queen's Counsel Velma Hilton's request to be excused from the Commission of Inquiry into the 2010 West Kingston operation. Ms. Hilton was one of 3 jurists appointed by the Governor-General on the advice of the Prime Minister in late February to inquire into the 2010 operation to capture the fugitive Christopher Dudu-Skok. Since the announcement, there have been calls for her removal in light of comments she reportedly made during another Commission of Inquiry in 2001. In her letter to the Governor-General, the Queen's Counsel said the proposed Commission of Inquiry was very important to Jamaica and should not be hampered by politics and petty distractions. And that's it for GIS News today. I'm Andrea Chisholm. Thank you for watching.
We want a productive Jamaica. We are not productive Jamaicans. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity is the way to go for all us Jamaicans. Small business, big business, old and young, we are tell every woman and man. We want growth and prosperity, free a better nation with a building plan. So we can build our product and sell our product and put more money in our hand. Our economy can rise to a level and build a better nation. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity.
Productivity, Pathway to Prosperity. A message brought to you by the Jamaica Productivity Center, a department of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
Learning a skill is very important whether you have a full-time job or not. And as part of building human capital, government is ensuring that they give as many persons the opportunity to do so.
Instead of a woman walk up and down, I can't just know, say, yeah, wake up in the morning, I gone at school, gone do something.
We learned from some basic English and maths.
It's a wonderful experience dealing with the student from the inner city.
Positive reviews from participants in a program to boost literacy, numeracy, and vocational skills. It's part of efforts to achieve strategic priority number 4 on government's agenda, human capital development, building the capacity of individuals so they can effectively contribute to the nation's growth. The Ministry of National Security through the Citizen Security and the Justice Program CSJP has been working with non-government organization Operation Friendship as well as the Jamaica Foundation for Lifelong Learning JFLL to offer remedial training to persons in vulnerable communities. CSJP, which targets unattached youth in volatile communities, recruits the youngsters. Operation Friendship facilitates the training at its institution, and JFLL provides the math and English teachers.
To deliver a 10-month pre-vocational program, which was aimed at 1, improving literacy levels, as well as their social skills with minimal exposure to general construction.
Using aspects of the constant practicing teaching method, classwork, assignments, tests, and projects, students were prepared for the Hard Trust entrance exam. If successful, they would move on to CSJP's vocational program, which provides advanced skills training at Hard Trust NTA.
Okay, today we're going to be talking about synonyms. Have you ever heard the word synonyms before?
Kind and generous.
Vacant, empty.
Messy and dirty.
You had to work from the basic letter sounds and stuff into the other areas of literacy. This was my first time teaching adults, so the transition was a bit difficult, but I mean, I got into it. The guys made me feel comfortable, and so it has been good.
Class, what are we going to do today?
Change decimal to percentage.
What are we going to do?
Change decimal to percentage.
It's fun when teacher teach about percentage and them thing and teach you in a little tricky way to do it.
Students are interested in learning, right, and they try their best to maintain discipline and stuff like that.
And Mr. White is a living testament to what can be achieved if one is disciplined. Having been a participant in the CSJP, he completed his studies in primary education at the Michael University and is now empowering other young people. Administrators of the CSJP's pre-vocational training program worked tirelessly to educate and train the youngsters as they acted on strategic priority number 4 on government's list.
Many of them felt very stigmatized, and many of them had a low self-esteem, which resulted from the fact that they were unable to read at levels that they should.
But after intense work, a shocking revelation. 22 of the 25 students who took the Heart Trust entrance exams were successful, paving the way for them to move on to higher heights.
I feel overwhelmed. I say yes, I achieve what I come for. That was the aim, to pass the test. And I say yes, I did it.
I was school from 2005 and I doesn't take up a book at home. And this program made me take up book and show interest of doing some work.
I think the success can be attributed to the motivation, to the quality of the instructors that we had, to the fact that the youngsters had to do the work which was necessary. We were able to come up with a new design for the syllabus, which really sort of focused on what had to be done in order to get them through the exams.
We are going to a next level, construction, getting a skill.
But the participants already have a rudimentary understanding of general construction, which will give them an edge when they begin CSJP's vocational program, Advanced Skills Training at Heart Trust NTA.
It teach me like to hold a hammer the right way.
You don't hold the hammer down in the neck, you hold the hammer at the end and you swing your wrists.
Well, my mindset is to inform other young men outside, in and outside the community, just to show that we get off the road and can come down at Operation Friendship and get it further.
I'm that star up in the sky, I'm that mountain peak up high. Hey, I made it, I'm the world's greatest.
To celebrate the achievement of the youngsters, a graduation ceremony was held at the offices of the JFLL. The results of a survey, the Learner Performance Feedback, indicated that the program did much more than help participants pass the Heart Trust entrance exam.
87% indicated that their team building skills have improved. Excellent. 91%, want to listen to this, 91% indicated that their conflict management skills have improved.
I'm that star up in the sky, I'm that mountain peak up high. Hey, I made it.
You can't really look at persons from the inner city and say they're not worth it or they can't make it. If you as a teacher just do what you have to do, teach them, love them, just talk to them about reality and encourage them.
Come to Operation Friendship. We are willing, we are able, we have the manpower, we have the space, and we have the motivation to help wherever it is possible.
And I think that many of them see it now as a launching pad for greater things to do with their future.
So CSJP, Operation Friendship, and JFLL have been working together to achieve government's strategic priority of human capital development, improving numeracy and literacy levels of unattached youth while developing their social and vocational skills, building their capacity to make them employable and marketable so they can contribute to national development.
World's greatest. I'm that little bit of hope when my back's against the road.
Colon cancer is cancer of the large bowel. The large bowel is that area of the bowel which contains the waste products. Whenever you have colon cancer, it means that those cells are growing uncontrollably, and it's something that is very serious. It is a condition which we have to diagnose early, and so we can manage it appropriately. Once we diagnose colon cancer, the next step is to stage it. We want to know if it's confined to the colon or if it's outside the colon. So you're likely to have a CAT scan of the abdomen, a special X-ray, an X-ray of the chest, and some blood tests. We can use that information to decide if it's localized or if it's very involved. And that can help us to plan what your treatment is going to be.
Whether it's the dry season or not, fires have a way of creeping up on us if we are not alert. But if you know what to do when one starts, then you have a better chance of minimizing the damage.
When your clothes is on fire, you do not run. So you stop where you are, you fall to the ground, and you roll.
Public education is a key component in fire prevention. It is a proactive method of reducing emergencies and the damage caused by them by ensuring that the public is fully aware of what to do in case of an emergency.
We recognize that fires start most of the time because people don't know about fires. People don't know what it takes to make a fire. People don't know what it takes to get rid of a fire. Without educating a person about the dangers of fire, then they would be totally lost, and we will continue to have devastating fires destroying life and property.
Look around for me. Make sure that everybody in the class is here.
I think you should give yourselves a clap. Right. That's how we want you to operate when there is a fire, all right?
Fire prevention officers go into communities, businesses, schools, churches, wherever they are granted access, and educate the public on fire safety practices. And through programs like Safety Monitor and Training, persons are taught to educate others about appropriate fire safety behavior.
We go into communities, we train what we call community safety wardens or fire wardens. So they would now look at the mispractices. We go into businesses, organize the staff, and we train persons to train the people in the workplace. They are also trained to a point where they can check for hazards to ensure that all the fire hazards that are visible can be reduced.
If it is that you require of us or you ask of us to come into your home and show you what inside there can actually start a fire and how you can prevent that fire, we actually do that. And we promote as well what we call the good neighbor policy. So you ensure that your neighbor is not doing anything that will put your life in jeopardy from a fire, and you do the same as well for your neighbors.
What happens?
Fire prevention does not stop at public education. There is also engineering and enforcement. You could call it the triple E effect. Engineering and enforcement go hand in hand. It's at this stage that the Fire Prevention Division review building plans, inspect buildings, and assess for compliance.
We encourage you to come into us, submit your building plan. We are able to look at it to see how you are going to occupy the building, and then we would be able to recommend the type of devices that you would use to better protect your property and the lives that will occupy that building.
Fire prevention officers should be contacted to conduct fire safety inspection as soon as new buildings are erected or existing buildings are being renovated. There is no cost attached.
So you would write us a letter, and you can send it in to us by email. When we get that letter, we set a date with you. We come into your building and we look at everywhere, all of the occupied space, whether doors are locked off, technical room. We start from the roof all the way down to basement level if there's a basement, and we note everything in terms of what you have in the building, what you need to do and then we would go back, make recommendations. So once you implement those recommendations, then you know that you are on the right track to have a safe building, a fire-safe building to occupy.
Once the inspection is complete and your building meets the required standard, you will receive a building occupancy certificate, also known as a fire certificate. The Fire Prevention Division also sees to the retrofitting of fire hydrants.
In 2007, we did a survey. That survey was a bit dismal, to be honest. It showed that we had just about 30% of all fire hydrants across the island working. We hired 2 teams of hydrant maintenance persons, and we placed one in the western section of the island and one in Kingston. In 2012, 5 years after, we did another survey, and that survey is showing us that we now have over 70% of the fire hydrants working. So that is really saying to us that the team that we have employed is actually going out there and doing the job that is required of them.
The fire brigade is on the job to ensure that you are safe in the event of a fire, but they can't go it alone. Your help is needed.
Don't cook and leave it unattended. Don't overload circuits. Don't introduce a whole lot of electrical equipment on systems that are not designed for that heavy load. Don't allow children that are not of the age of 12 and untaught to be fooling around with fire in general. And pretty much ensure that you have a plan in your home, in the building that you occupy. Ensure that the right equipment is there. Our message to the public is prevent, prevent, prevent.
Once a fire starts, you need to call us. It is better for us to get on the scene and realize that you have already dealt with it than for us to get on the scene late. Because nobody likes a situation like that when we get there late and there's nothing much that we can actually do.
For more information on the Jamaica Fire Brigade, visit their website, www.jfb.gov.jm, or call 922-2523 or 922-0007. Having to sit the Grade 6 Achievement Test can be a difficult time for both students and even their parents. But with proper preparation, it doesn't have to be that stressful. So here it is. The night before is when you should relax and get adequate sleep. If you want to do a little bit of reading, feel free, but don't cram anything. In the morning, eat a proper breakfast. Ensure you have all you need to take into the examination room and try to get there early. Don't forget to relax, believe in yourself, and pray. Read all instructions and questions carefully and try to have a little time to check over what you did. And parents, encourage your children. Let them know you'll be proud as long as they give it their best. If you have any questions, feel free to call these GSAT hotline numbers. Stay focused. You can do it.
If my food bill now stands at $10,000, how much will it cost in the next 10 years?
I usually get $30 a day to go to school. Now I have to give my child $300 per day. Cost of living has really increased, you know.
We all at times put a little something down for a rainy day, no matter how small it is, not true? But what do you do when that saving reaches a particular amount? While you're contemplating that, let me just say that a part of being sensible involves getting a reasonable return on your money. But how do you do that? Investing.
Investing is when an individual sets aside funds for the future, and it can be medium term or long term, and sometimes even for the short term, depending on what investments they make.
In essence, you put aside money for a period of time in a bid to make a profit. It's making your money work for you. If you're not that business savvy, you need to get advice from an experienced investor or financial institution so that they can give you ideas as to what your portfolio should look like. But make sure the financial institution is licensed to give advice. Check with the Financial Services Commission, FSC, which also regulates the investment sector. A few tips now on what your advisor may need to know.
They ask a few questions, really just to get to what your investing style is and to come up with a portfolio that you can feel comfortable with.
You also need to know what you're investing towards and your net worth, what you have minus what you owe.
They need to know what your risk profile is. I mean, are you the type of person who, jumps out of airplanes and so is willing to take risk in other areas of your life? Or are you someone that would really feel the pinch if your money was the value of your investments was to decrease in any period? A unit trust is a collective investment scheme, so it really is a number of persons coming together to buy units in this portfolio. And it is managed by a manager of the unit trust who manages it according to a certain investment policy.
But there are certain questions to consider. Who are the investment managers? What is their track record? What's the purpose of the trust? And are they sticking to their investment policy? There is also the option of mutual funds, which are similar to a unit trust. Bonds are debt instruments, an interest-bearing IOU that you get after you've given the government or a private entity a loan. Bonds are the means by which government and corporations finance their activities.
So you will find that a corporation could come to market, say they are doing some expansion and they want to finance this expansion. And this expansion is going to take 3 years, and they perceive that they're going to get returns over the following 5 years. They may raise a 5-year bond and offer it to the market.
The market will then decide based on the company's creditworthiness if they should buy into that bond. Returns may be paid out based on a timeline stipulated by the company.
Because as long as you hold the bond to maturity and there is no default risk, meaning that the person who issued the bond pays the bond, then you will get whatever return you bought in the bond at.
Some of those rights may include voting on critical issues affecting the company. The more the shares, the more leverage you will have. You can also trade on the stock market that may require the help of a stockbroker. Trading may also take place on the foreign exchange market. Some types of investments may be more risky than others, so you have to choose what works best for you. It takes patience and commitment. Your investment at times may be volatile, meaning it increases at one point and decreases at another.
Don't panic. There are a lot of persons who have actually recovered even from, say, the crisis that happened in the U.S. stock market and U.S. financial markets in 2008, just by applying the principle of continuing to invest.
And for the skeptics among us who still think investing is a waste of time, think about this.
What is happening to my funds due to inflation and cost of living increases? Will I still be able, with that money at today's rate, right? Think 10 years time from now, will I be able to buy the same basket of goods that I'm able to buy now? You won't.
This is where we end the program today, but you can keep up with us by sending an email to jamaicamagazine@gis.gov.jm or dropping a message on our Twitter page @GIS News. Watch this and other GIS programs on our YouTube channel, and our website has lots of useful information, so you may log on to that too. Join us again tomorrow when we bring you another in the series. I'm Carrie Ann Smith, reminding you to speak life, stay positive.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.